everybody's living together there. And this is the only city where you can really find neighbors living in the same buildings, of different religions, working together in the same offices, eating together in the same coffee shops or restaurants. One of my achievements was to open a bilingual school teaching Arabic and Hebrew simultaneously.
Good heavens. In Israel, you got them to do that. In this episode, I'm talking with Dr. Einat Kalisch-Rotem, architect, urban planner, entrepreneur, and the first woman mayor of Haifa, about her studies at ETH, shaped her thinking, and what happens when you bring that frame of mind into the heart of city government. This is the We Are ETH podcast, and I'm Susan Kish, your host. Einat, when you left Zurich and went back to Israel, what was it you missed most? The croissant and the coffee? No.
The public transportation.
Oh, I know. It's fantastic, isn't it?
And the chocolate.
That's a really good response.
No question.
Years ago, I interviewed the mayor of Bogota in Colombia, who's well known for his commitment to public transportation. And he had this great quote that the sign of a great urban transit system is when everybody takes it. It's the transportation of choice for the wealthy, as well as those who aren't as wealthy.
Yeah, it's such an accurate saying. And I think this is one of the things I really wanted to bring to my hometown.
You also worked on bringing the train down to the port, right?
It's funny. I never thought I'm going to be in politics. I was, an architect and a planner, and I had my office running.
Right.
And after coming back from Zurich, I realized that the government of Israel is going to do some really terrible things in Haifa when it comes to infrastructure. The airport, the railways, the ports themselves. We have 2, maybe even 3 ports. One is run by Chinese company.
Really?
It was privatized, and the public port was also about to be privatized, and the waterfront in Haifa was blocked. So, you learn what good cities do all around the world, and you understand that Haifa is just going backwards. And,
how do you mean going backwards?
It began with the story of electrification of the railways that ran along the shore, the seashore of Haifa, and also crossing the waterfront. And this is one of the things that is blocking Haifa from the waterfront. So I learned the plans of the Ministry of Transportation. And I realized that not only they're going to electrify the railways, the lanes, they're going to add more lanes.
Further blocking any access to the beach.
And Haifa, I think, is the most beautiful place in Israel in terms of beaches.
Really?
And the landscaping. It's a beautiful, beautiful city, really. The colors of Haifa are green and blue. Turquoise, the water, there's something very sane about this city. It's really different from Israel. And when I realized that the transportation systems are going to run over the city again, I decided I have to do something that I understand professionally what a damage it's going to do. And this is where I found myself more and more in politics.
Huh.
So actually, the initiation for it was the train.
How much of the beach is accessible in the city?
It's very accessible if you have a private car.
Oh, now we get back to the urban transportation question.
Yes. Now we're coming back to my experience with urbanism and my acquaintance with Zurich. I understand today that a good city is not for car owners, and it's not only for the privileged. And when you treat infrastructure like railways, like the airport, which was about to be shut down, die, because the Chinese port, was right next to it, and the government wanted to take over the land territories of the airport. All sorts of very deep movements that once you understand them, you realize that you cannot sit quietly at home, that they're going to destruct the city. So this is where I found myself in politics. I never imagined I'm going to be there.
But it really sounds like your experience in Zurich wasn't just an academic one. It was living in a city that was designed. In many ways, I think the infrastructure of Zurich is amongst the most harmonious, maybe that's the term, in the world.
Yeah. I think, by the way, after living in Zurich, I also changed a little my PhD research.
Really?
Because it was the first time in my life that I felt what urbanism is in my body.
In your experience? Oh, that's cool.
It wasn't just an academic issue. I sensed it. I felt that everything is changing. I was walking a lot, eating differently,
right.
Shopping and buying things in a different way. My everyday life changed. And I felt that it's much healthier to live this way of living here than the way most cities in Israel are living. So I even changed my research according to that. And of course, this is what made me go into politics. I said, I have to bring something of what I understand. It's not my mind, it's not my brain understands, it's my body understands.
Yeah. You talked about publicness and the Dam Square in Amsterdam. What were you looking at when you were talking about that kind of public space?
I wanted to understand the impact of the buildings and the architecture and the form and the sizes, what they do, but also anthropologically speaking, what the institutions, the cultural, the political institutions, how they affect the behavior of people in public places. And what I found out about the Dam Square is that history happened there.
Right.
The most amazing, the strongest historical events took place in that location. And it wasn't just coincidence. It was because all of the political and cultural and religious and commercial institutions, authorities were there.
You mentioned that you pivoted the topic of your research once you had arrived and once you started to live in Zurich and see the impact of the place upon your life. How did you pivot? What was that pivot?
I turned more to anthropology, more to the understanding of city by watching people use public spaces. I wanted to understand the behavior of people in public spaces, and I found myself turning more and more to anthropology and, of course, history and architecture together. And it changed a little bit the course of the research that I did before. It's difficult to explain, but I think my mindset changed. I was more observative.
What is it that makes Haifa a special city? And what was the catalyst for you to say, yep, I have to take a role here. I cannot sit by and watch them take the heart out of my city?
There are really beautiful attributes, physical attributes. What is even more beautiful in the city is that it's a mixed city. We have all religions there. We have Arabs that are Christian, Muslims. We have the Baha'is. If you Google Haifa, you will see the Baha'i Gardens. This is the most sacred place in Haifa and Akko, which is the city very close to us in the north. Everybody's living together there. And this is the only city where you can really find neighbors living in the same buildings, of different religions, working together in the same offices, eating together in the same coffee shops or restaurants, buying in the same groceries or supermarkets or whatever. One of my achievements was to open a bilingual school teaching Arabic and Hebrew simultaneously.
Good heavens. In Israel, you got them to do that. That's crazy.
I got them to do that in our very right government. And people told me in the Ministry of Education, what you did was unbelievable. We would never imagine they will allow you to do that. So the mosaic, the human profile of the city and the social mosaic of the city, I think is its most incredible. It's incredible because it feels like a big, very liberal, cosmopolitan city. But it's not that big. It's like a medium-sized city. But the mindset is a mindset of a very progressed city.
So you ran 3 times for mayor, if I understand correctly.
Yes.
And the first time you got something like 10-15% of the vote.
Yeah.
And the second time you got like 50-60% of the vote. What caused you to continue running for that election? What caused you to run that second time?
Actually, it's a very strange and I think harsh political story.
Mm-hmm.
I came from nowhere. I'm not a politician. I'm an architect and a planner, and maybe I will say something about it. I came there for, I remember when I spoke to people before the elections and they asked me, what are you thinking to yourself? And I realized that this ship is heading towards the icebergs.
Mm-hmm.
And I just need to jump on board and just change the course a few degrees, and then I'm out of there. I have to make sure it does not bump the icebergs. And they were laughing, but this is exactly what I did.
Yeah.
Before entering politics, I remember asking a person who has connection to politics, I asked him, what do I have to do in order to become a mayor? And after realizing that if I want to impact the course of this ship, there's no other way. And he said, you need to have 2 things. One is 4 million shekels for a campaign, which is more or less 1 million euros. And the second, you have to be friends with the press and the media. And I remember saying to myself, I don't have not this and not that, neither one, but I'm going to be mayor. And this is actually the story of coming out from outer space into politics, changing the things that I thought were important.
Yeah.
And then not being sad at all for not being there anymore.
What is it about running a city? Cities are complex systems. And so I've always thought that architects who think in terms of systems and urban planners who think in terms of systems can really appreciate the complexity, how you tweak this and then these 25 other things that are theoretically completely unrelated have impact on it. How is it that your research and your studies, your life experiences have led you to be an effective mayor to, as you said, to steer the ship a few degrees off its previous path?
First, I believe that being a planner, I understood very deeply the plans of the government for Haifa.
Mm-hmm.
I used to look at their plans and I understood what they're going to do, which probably most politicians will never understand. And they have to count on professionals, but you have to also ask the right questions.
The right questions. Sure.
I didn't have to do that because I was looking into it myself. And I understood very well, I think planners have the ability to see the future in their imagination. So I saw exactly what they're doing, and I really could not stand by. The other attribute I can say about myself is that I never tried to be nice. I was very direct, and I knew exactly what I want to achieve, and I did manage to change many things that I wanted to change.
What are you most proud of from your years as mayor?
The airport of Haifa was about to shut down. The territories are located right next to the port that is run by the Chinese. And I know that many interests were looking to get a grip on that land. And I managed, and it cost me a lot of energies and, bad blood to somehow keep the airport alive. So I have to tell you that I see how it's starting to change many things. I think it can also change the economy of the northern part of Israel. So this is one of the things I'm very proud of. It was a big thing. And of course, the government also agreed to dig the railways in a tunnel beneath the ground.
Underneath, so it doesn't block the ocean. It doesn't block the port.
So I don't know if it's going to happen because it will take many, many years. But the plan is there. I pushed forward almost 40 master plans in many aspects of life, whether it's transportation, things for the public spaces, renovation, preservation
of wild
history,
pigs,
a sustainable ecology.
To get 40 plans, master plans done, you can't do that alone. So can you talk through how you approached it? How did you build the collective will to get those all approved and at least started on their path?
I tried to bring together all the people that were either working in the municipality or having relations to the topic that I was working on, whether it's urban renewal, transportation, ecology, whatever. I have to say that working with the Israeli government was quite difficult.
What a surprise.
Yeah, I am really known for not being their best friend and very critical. I think what I tried to do when I started my term was to build a coalition that is very wide and very colorful from all sides of political agendas, from left to right. We had, I think, the most colorful political coalition that one can find in Israel ever. Actually, I think that if our government would have done the same, Israel would be in a completely different place. So actually, the first days after my election, I was in Zurich, and I was about to sign an agreement with the Arab Party of Haifa. And I remember I was in the hotel in the morning and I went to have breakfast and I didn't take the phone with me. And apparently the Prime Minister, Netanyahu, then called me a few times with the press because, he wanted to talk to me and record everything. And I didn't answer. And everyone thought that I knew who was calling and that I decided not to answer. I called back.
Right.
And he said that it was all over the press afterwards. He said, I would really like you to consider not having the Arab Party in your coalition.
Wow.
And I told him, I hope it was polite, but I said, the Haifa politics is my business, and I will take care of it myself. Thank you.
Outstanding. So this is in 2018.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
He was shocked because they said, "How can you do that? The prime minister tells you how to build your college." No, you're not going to tell me how to do that because Haifa is different. I even said Haifa has a very different mindset, and I will not let anyone distract it. And I understood that these are two different paths. And, the decision was very easy for me.
You wanted to be true to yourself.
Yeah.
And above all else, be true.
And, we're here, whatever, for a very short time in the world. And we have to try to do our best to make our world better. And it doesn't matter how much we succeed, or your intentions are very important.
That is wonderful. How did your time at ETH really impact your years as a mayor?
I think the impact was enormous.
Mm-hmm.
Because for me, a city is first and foremost a place to serve the people and see the people. And I don't know how to say that, but it's like love the people. You have to appreciate them. You have to respect them. You have to respect their space. You have to respect their everyday life. You have to respect their time. And I felt when I was here how Zurich respects me as a person. And I know that the city of Haifa does not respect enough its citizens. And this was something that was hovering about every decision I took. You have to respect wildlife and trees and the people walking on the sidewalks. And I think many of my plans were on that. The scale was very human. I changed, in many plans, I changed the way a street looks like. I tried to change the course of the public transportation so that it will really help people and they will not have to reach the public transportation by car.
Right.
Which is what happens in Israel. I think Zurich was there every day. And sometimes I mentioned this thing is, Zurich is dealing with this issue in this and this and that way. And many people told me, stop it. We don't want to hear about Switzerland. We're not Switzerland. This is not Europe. Stop talking about Europe. You're in the Middle East. And I said, yes, but I have a vision and I think we can do better. And I think this is the place to learn how to become better.
Mm-hmm.
But, I was teased a lot for doing the comparison with Zurich, but I never stopped.
I think that's admirable. What is it that you want to do next, Einat?
I'm working for almost a year now on actually a few projects, but the most exciting, I would say, is to open a startup company that will maybe change some things in culture and in tourism in cities.
Huh.
We understand today that small and medium businesses in cities don't have enough help. And I also see tourism in the world changing these days. I think that if I go to Paris these days, I will probably not stand in the quay for the Eiffel Tower.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to find local artists and maybe hear good local musicians in the evening when I have a good dinner. So I think tourism is changing nowadays. And I think culture and mostly small and medium-sized businesses need more help.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe in a sustainable economy. So all this together is something that we realize, and I realized that when I was a mayor of the city of Haifa,
Mm-hmm.
that we need to think about it in a different way. So we're just starting at this point. It's still, stealth mode startup. But I hope maybe in the near future, we will make some change.
Fantastic. Einat, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for the conversation.
Thank you, Susan. It was a big pleasure, really.
So I'd love to close with asking you a few questions we ask our guests. So first off, when you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
This is so funny. I had a few incidents in my life that showed me that I really did not know what I want to be when I was a little girl. I was very good in mathematics and physics and all these studies, and I was just sure I'm going to be an engineer. And when I applied for the studies at the Technion, just 1 minute before I sent the envelope, I took it back. I erased everything and I wrote architect.
Really?
And then I closed the envelope. Really, this is one of the most unbelievable stories that I still don't understand until today. And I remember coming home and my mother said, "Okay, did you send the applications?" And I said, "Yeah, Mom, but a little change of plans." What? I'm going to be an architect. What? And I think it was one of the most incredible decisions I've ever made. So I never knew I'm going to be not an architect and certainly not a politician.
So it does sound like you were always curious. It sounds like you're always learning about new things. What are you curious and learning about today?
I would like to find out how we can do good to mankind, to our cities. I love cities. I'm fascinated with cities. I think it's one of the biggest thing mankind ever invented. And I think we have to work more to improve it, to be less destructive to the environment. And we need to help the simple people living in the cities to have a better life. That's actually what I'm interested in. And this is also what I hope to somehow reach in my next project.
Well, there's a lot of interesting work being done in cities, whether it's the 15-minute city or the walkable city or next generation around street design. It's a fantastic field. What are the books that you're reading right now?
Actually, I read in the last couple of months many biographies and autobiographies of many people that because of what is happening today in Israel, we are in a big crisis, very big crisis. And I really wanted to understand people, I think, dealt with crisis in an admirable way. So I read the autobiography of Gandhi, and it was, just hearing how he managed to
change the path of history
and change and do everything in such an unbelievable way. I read the biography of Elon Musk, learning also how a person can make so huge change, and you understand that there is something about personality that is not usual. It's I read, I don't know, many books about people, but also about inventions. And also, even my sister wrote a book. She's
so tell us the name of the book.
Oh, it's in Hebrew, but it's Vira Jaco, It's about a nice villa in Provence, in France. So poetry and everything. I just read everything. I'm very fond of books.
That is lovely. Einat, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this and sharing your story.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
I'm Susan Kish, host of the We Are ETH podcast, which tells the story of the alumni and friends of the ETH, the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology. ETH regularly ranks amongst the top universities in the world in terms of cutting-edge research, science, and people, both the people who were there, the people who are there, and, of course, the people who will be there. Please subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you listen and give us good rating on Apple or Spotify or YouTube. I'd like to close by thanking our producers at L Media, at the ETH alumni, and especially to thank you, our listeners, for joining us today.